Hi guys, welcome to my course on time management. Time management is one of the most efficient and effective ways to improve your life. It doesn't matter what you're doing, whether or not you're in business, whether or not you're not in business. Time management can absolutely help you to achieve more goals in a shorter amount of time and have time for yourself as well. So it's really important to sort that balance out, get things under control and work towards a future in which you've got more time for yourself and you're optimizing your time in the best way to move yourself forward. So in this course, I'm going to be going over everything that I know about time management and hopefully it'll help. One of the most effective time management tips is to set yourself SMART goals. So they need to be specific, they need to be measurable, they need to be achievable, they need to be relevant, and they need to be time bound. Right? So when I'm talking about specific, what I mean is you need a focus, a rigid focus on the goal that you want to achieve. It can't be something with a lot of threads coming out of it, which can distract you because you don't want to get your focus split up among many different things. A lot of people get confused when it comes to focus. There are people who believe that they can multitask. Multitasking and split tasking are two completely different things. And if you're trying to do multiple things at once, you're not going to do anything well. So you need to have a rigid focus on that. Okay. Now, when it comes to measurable, right, it needs to be something which you can go back and look at these goals and say, is this effective? Is it a good use of my time? Right? They need to be achievable. So it needs to be something that you can do and you know you're going to be able to do it. Right? It needs to be relevant. So what does this mean? It needs to be something that is very important to get done. It needs to be something which is, there's no point in focusing on things that you don't need to get done. So it needs to be very directly relevant. And when it comes to your, the management of your time, you need to be aware of how long it takes you to achieve this specific goal, because what you're going to be wanting to do is over time you're going to want to reduce the amount of time that it takes in order to accomplish goals. And because you've got like this focus on these goals, it's going to be a lot easier to get them done because you're not going to be distracted by anything. Breaking down a large task and turning it into daily and weekly goals can be really helpful in terms of time management, because sometimes when you're looking at things, you've got a large task, there are a large number of different things that you have to focus on in order to accomplish this task. And sometimes you can find yourself getting distracted by all the small things that get in the way. So what you're going to want to do is, by breaking things up into daily or weekly goals, or even if you need to get it done quickly, hourly goals, and just having that rigid focus and keeping that focus there for these goals, you're less likely to get distracted or caught up in things. And if you are spreading it out over a large period of time, a gigantic task is not as large as the smaller tasks that you're going to have to do. It's not going to see as overwhelming. So what you're going to be doing is you're going to be controlling not only the task which you're working on, but you're going to be controlling the way, like the emotional and psychological response that you've got to this task, because nobody wants to climb a mountain. You can climb it a couple of steps at a time, but if you overwhelm yourself, you can end up going through burnout. And that's something I'm very familiar with. Planning in advance is really useful because it allows you to have a huge amount of control over your life. So thinking about using things like calendars, lists, things like this can really benefit you. Personally, I love to rely on lists, and now that I've been doing it for a long time, I don't really need to write them anymore. But the way I used to do it was, I would make the last task in every single day to write my to-do list for the next day, and I would make my task the first thing in the morning, look at the to-do list and make sure you get things done and out of the way. Now I just wake up, look at my emails, get any work done that needs to be done, and I've got plenty of time before I actually have to go out and get working. So it's really good to have like a good control over everything, because when it comes to scheduling things like meetings, etc., it's very good to have this control, because then you can plan your life around it so that you can have more free time for yourself. When you're dealing with a huge amount of different tasks that are quite complicated and they're taking a long time, sometimes you can get really muddled up with it. So what I like to do is set out a monthly overview for each of the big complicated tasks that I've got, and what I'll have with that is I'll have a checklist which will enable me to control things a lot easier. Now, nobody likes getting completely and totally blindsided with things, and when you're dealing with a lot of complicated things all at once, you can tend to get muddled up. But it actually becomes a lot easier if you're controlling things using these overviews and checklists, because you have an understanding of the task, you have all of the things that you need to accomplish on that task, and you can just check them off when they're done. Now, once you've actually accomplished one of your tasks, what you want to do is you want to take the result that you've got, and you want to go through absolutely everything. You want to go through the outline of the task. You want to go through all of the different checkpoints and make sure that everything is accomplished. And you'll find that that will speed things up tremendously. Figuring out your priorities is one of the most important parts of time management, and you need to focus on it from a self perspective. So everything that is most important to yourself, your business, your life, the things that you need to do, which are absolutely vital to your survival, these need to be the top priority. When it comes to doing things like, I'm a business person, opening emails from clients, responding to any form of emails or any form of inquiries, etc. I put these under urgent, which comes underneath the things that I need to survive. And the reason it comes underneath is, first and foremost, I need to have control over myself and my life. Anything else from that is secondary. And because the reason is, if you don't do it in this way, you're going to destroy yourself, and then you're going to be no use to anyone. So you're going to want to focus on yourself, then you focus on others, then you focus on the mundane tasks that definitely need to get done, and then at the end of this, the best thing to do is to focus on, for example, learning, studying, anything that is going to benefit you for the future, or things that you just want to explore. Maybe there's a new piece of software you want to experiment with. But these kind of things need to fall right at the bottom of your task list, because they are not that important. Setting deadlines for yourself is really effective when it comes to time management, because then you start to speed up the process naturally. So, for example, even a small task, you can set yourself a deadline and make sure you accomplish that task in a timely manner. Now, what you're aiming to do with the whole process of time management is to basically compress everything and make the best use of your time possible. So having an understanding of how long it takes to do something is really, really good, because it allows you to schedule properly. And if you can schedule properly, then you've got proper control over your life. Now, there are always things that come in to destabilize you at times, but if you've got an effective form of time management and you've got an effective understanding of it, it's not going to be as dangerous when something comes in and blindsides you. So having this sort of control is really, really important. So deadlines are great, because what they do is they increase your ability to get things done and to do them in a timely manner, so that you've got more time to spend on everything that you need. Identifying your most productive time of day is absolutely integral when it comes to time management. The reason being is because you've only got 24 hours in a day, so you might as well be doing the most in the times when you are the most productive. So maybe it's after breakfast, first thing in the morning when you wake up. For me, it's between around 2 o'clock in the morning and 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm the most productive around these times. So you'll want to test different times of the day, maybe try out some of your tasks when you understand what the deadlines are for these tasks, and you understand how long a certain amount of how long a task is taking in terms of time. When you've got that and you understand that, try it out at different times of the day. Find out which times are your most productive, because then you can start to squeeze the majority of your tasks into these times when you're productive and make the best use of the time. That is really, really important, and it's absolutely helped my life. The pomodoro technique is really effective when it comes to time management. So what exactly is it? Basically, you have 25 minutes worth of work and you have a 5-minute break. So for example, let's say when I'm making these videos, what I'll do is I'll be making videos for 25 minutes. Then what I'll do is I'll lie down for 5 minutes, close my eyes with the lights off, and just relax. Now, doing this is really, really effective, and it allows me to create content a lot better, and it allows me to come back with a little bit more focus. So you can do pretty much anything in these breaks. You can maybe have a cup of tea, a cup of coffee. You can, for example, do what I do, lie down, relax, light a stick of incense, maybe even take some time to just meditate. So close your eyes, breathe in, breathe out. But doing this allows you to go backwards and forwards from your different tasks and do it in a way where you come back with a little bit refreshed every single time, and you're not overdoing it, you're not overstraining, and you're less likely to suffer from burnout. So it's absolutely integral to have some understanding of this, because it will really help you. When it comes to doing deep work, which is basically focused work in a distraction-free environment, you're going to want to put this down into 90-minute segments, and you're going to want to space them out over the day, because you do not want yourself to go through burnout. You don't want to sit there for, say, 6 hours focusing on one spreadsheet. That is going to be an absolute nightmare for you. What you're going to want to do instead is you're going to want to break this up throughout the day. And you can use the pomodoro technique: 25 minutes of work, 5 minutes rest, 25 minutes of work, 5 minutes rest, 25 minutes of work, 5 minutes of rest. And you can do this while you're doing deep work, which is really, really effective. And the main reason for this is it will help you retain your focus, keep yourself going, and make sure that you're not getting too distracted by things, because there is nothing worse than having your concentration broken or to go through burnout when you've got a really important task to complete. Doing the hardest and most complicated tasks first is really, really important when it comes to time management, because you do not want yourself to be worn out when you're trying to handle things that are very complicated. So if you've got a project which is really, really big or complicated, or you've got a lot of things that are integrated in it, it's really important to get these ones out of the way while your mind is fresh, because throughout the day your focus is going to deteriorate over time. So finding a time when you can do these and putting them first is really, really important, because that way you can ensure that you're doing the tasks well and you're doing them with a fresh mind. If you allow yourself to get sort of distracted throughout the day and you've got a lot of different things coming in from all different angles, it's going to have an adverse effect on you, and it is going to basically slow down your progress. And you want to get these things out of the way so that you can focus on the other tasks, which potentially are very, very important as well. But it's much better when you're dealing with really complicated things, just to really, really have that focus and get those tasks out of the way. We generally refer to this as eating the frog, which is quite a funny term. But anyway, very useful. Multitasking and split tasking can really get in the way when you're trying to manage your time effectively. Now, this is because there is a distraction when it comes to your focus. You ideally want to be focused on one task at once so that you can really, really concentrate on making sure you're accomplishing it in the speediest way possible without anything sort of lagging you up and affecting your brain. When you've got complete and total focus on one task, you're not getting distracted by other things. For example, if I'm going to make a video, I'm going to leave my phone off, so I'm not going to get distracted when I am doing the video. I'm not going to practice juggling at the same time, because I'm focusing entirely on doing the video. And this is really, really important, because a lot of people think that they can multitask, but in fact what's happening is they've got a split task going on, which is where they're splitting their focus between two different things. It's like multi-classing in a computer game. You're able to do things at a reasonable level with different classes, but you're never going to be able to sort of ace absolutely everything. And I think it's really, really important when it comes down to it to be very, very focused on one particular task. Do that to the best of your ability so that you don't have to go back and redo it and constantly check on things, and make sure that you're doing things at the very, very highest level that you're capable of doing it. Even if you feel like you're extremely good at multitasking, it is very, very bad, and it will negatively impact on your effectiveness and your efficiency. Unfortunately, it's just the way that the human mind works. So definitely consider removing the concept of multitasking or split tasking from what you're doing, because there is nothing worse than having consistent interruptions when you're doing things. It is better to have a pinpoint focus and constantly work on the accuracy of that. Distractions really trip us up when we're trying to focus on our tasks, so the most important thing is to make sure that you are in an environment where you can do things without being constantly distracted by other things. This means that if you're doing doing things like recording videos or writing letters, emails, whatever you're doing, you do not want, for example, phone calls coming in. I always keep my phone switched off. It's really, really good because I've got a specific time to answer my emails. All of my clients email me, and that is how I deal with them. That's how we get to know each other. And I use WhatsApp when I'm out on a walk. So I will check my emails on WhatsApp at a specific time every single day to make sure that I get things done, but I will not focus on them for the rest of the time. When it comes to social media, set aside time every single day for that. If you really feel like you need it, I only really use it for business. So it is very, very important to sort of make sure that you're not having your time stolen by different things, different distractions. Let's say you're using an internet browser and you've got a load of different tabs up. It's not good to have all of these different tabs open at the same time, because you've got notifications coming in from Facebook, you've got distractions, and that is a problem. I generally prefer to not listen to music when I'm working on different things. The main reason is anything with lyrics will distract. There are some nice, cool ambient tracks that I have occasionally listened to, but I find that still slows down my work process, so I've stopped doing that, and that's made my life much more efficient. Anyway, try and minimize the distractions in your life. When you've got a desk, it's always good to remove all of the clutter from it that you've got. I tend to drink a lot of canned drinks, so they tend to clutter up my desk, so I've got to keep on top of that. But it's really, really good to have a workspace where you are not going to be distracted very easily. And that is really, really important. It's good to have, for example, let's say, for example, you're only thinking about having a cup of coffee or something like that, maybe green tea if you're a little bit healthier. You're going to want to have that before you work and not focus on that while you're working. Because if you're always reaching over to drink the tea, that is a distraction. If you're reaching over to drink a canned drink, that's a distraction. If you're trying to answer phone notifications, that's a distraction. If you don't know where your car keys are, that is a distraction. You want to get rid of all of these distractions in your life. I do have my keys with me. That is a good thing. But you see what I mean. If I'm trying to make a video, and that's an example, but if you see what I mean, I'm trying to say you don't want these distractions in your life. So anything that can and will distract you, do not focus on it when you're trying to do your tasks, because it will only come back to haunt you. Letting other people know when your focus hours are every day is a really important part of time management, because it means that you're less likely to be distracted by people trying to contact you, send you messages, call you, etc. And it's not going to give you a huge amount of things that you're going to have to check later. They will generally contact you outside of the times when you are usually very busy, which is really, really good. One of the things that I do with my clients is I say, if you want something done, the fastest that it will get done, the best thing to do is to send me an email or send me a WhatsApp message, and I will make sure that those things are done as soon as possible, as soon as I get the messages in. Now, when it comes down to it, they know that I set aside my time every single day specifically to deal with emails and WhatsApp messages, and my time immediately after that is dealing with everything that needs to be dealt with. And sometimes I even get a free period with this, which is absolutely great. But the important thing is having these times set aside means that I've got a lot more control over my life, and it makes things so much easier for me. It's really good practice to have a good positivity mindset when it comes to your time management, because at the end of the day, you want to be focused on moving forwards. That is the most vital part of all of this. So you don't want smaller tasks that are maybe really, really fiddly or irritating to get in the way. So if they are unessential, move them to one side or get rid of them completely. If they are something which is important, try and get the small tasks out of the way first. Do it first thing in the morning, because that way you're not going to get consistently beaten down throughout the day. So when it comes down to it, have this as a main focus, and don't beat yourself up if you can't accomplish the tasks, because that is not going to affect you positively. You cannot move forward if you've got things that are constantly beating you down. So what you've got to do is focus on just pushing yourself in a forwards direction, if that makes sense. So when it comes down to it, it is really good when you've accomplished a big task to reward yourself, because this will help your psychology and it will help you move forwards in a very, very successful way, rather than getting yourself just bogged down. So a reward structure is really, really good, because it helps with your mental state, it helps you keep your focus, and it helps you work towards something. So when you've got these kind of things in play, it is really, really good for you when it comes to your productivity. Finally, when you get to the end of the week or maybe even the end of the month, what you want to do is you want to take some time to just reflect on everything that you've got done over the month. And what you want to do is also see whether or not there are things that are really working for you and see the things that aren't working for you. If something's not working for you, you want to get rid of that. If something's working really, really well for you and it's getting you motivated and moving you forwards in a positive way, what you want to do is you want to keep this as part of your routine. This will ensure that you are doing the best you absolutely can when it comes to managing your time, managing your productivity, and moving yourself forwards in life. I hope this video has been really, really helpful to you and that this course has been really helpful to you. You take care, have a lovely day, and if you'd like to share the course, help me out, I'd really appreciate that. If not, maybe you can subscribe, hit that like button, tell me I'm going prematurely bold, I always appreciate that one. And you take care, have a lovely day, and I'll see you on the next course. Bye!